My name's Marcus. I'm 34, and if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have told you that my younger brother Josh and I were close. Like stupidly close. I helped him through college, let him crash on my couch more times than I can count, backed his business idea with $20,000 a loan that magically turned into a gift. And last year, when he and his girlfriend Emily found the perfect little condo, but couldn't afford first and last month's rent, I stepped in without hesitation. That was always how I operated. Quietly, helpfully, no strings. I didn't need recognition. I just wanted my brother to have the shot at the life he was always chasing. But somewhere along the line, Josh mistook generosity for weakness. He stopped saying thank you, stopped calling just to talk, and slowly things shifted. I was no longer the supportive older brother. I was the wallet, the fixer, the backup plan, and I didn't even realize it until it was too late. The final straw came the night of his engagement dinner. Josh and Emily were hosting at this overpriced restaurant downtown, some rooftop place with string lights and wine list longer than my apartment lease. It was fancy, sure, but I was genuinely happy for them. Despite everything, I'd planned a surprise. I was going to cover 6 months of their rent on the new condo they were moving into next week. I'd written out the check, sealed it in a crisp white envelope, and even added a little note. Just a simple, proud of you, little bro. I pictured him getting emotional, maybe hugging me, telling Emily's family how I'd always been there for him. But that's not how it went. I arrived 15 minutes early, per usual. The host gave me a weird look when I said Josh's name, like he didn't expect me to be on the list. After confirming, he finally led me up to the rooftop, where a dozen people were already mingling around champagne flutes and tiny crab cakes. I spotted Josh at the far end, laughing with Emily's dad, wearing that smug, too smooth expression. And he always used when he was trying to impress someone. He barely looked at me when I approached. Just a quick chin nod, then a dismissive, "Hey, you made it," like I was the distant cousin, not the guy who paid a security deposit. Still, I brushed it off. Dinner started fine. Salads, polite small talk, awkward laughter between our family and Emily's. Josh was holding court like he always did, telling the same tired story about how he sold sneakers in high school to learn business. I let him have his moment. That was the plan. Be supportive, let him shine. And then at the right moment, after dessert, maybe I'd hand him the envelope and watch his face light up. That moment never came. Instead, about midway through the dinner, Josh raised his glass and tapped it for attention. "Thanks for coming, everyone. It means a lot to have all of you here, especially Emily's family, who's basically taken me in like one of their own." I tilted my head slightly. No mention of our parents who drove 6 hours to be there. No mention of me. And of course, he continued. A huge shout out to my beautiful fiancée who said yes. Even though I'm a total mess most days, I promise I'll try to be worth it. Everyone clapped. Emily blushed. Her mum wiped a tear. It was sweet, genuine, even. But still, not one word to me. Not even when the waiter brought out a small cake with congrats. Josh and Emily piped in gold icing. I thought maybe he was saving it. Maybe there'd be a toast later. A private word. Something. I waited. I sipped my drink. I forced myself to laugh at the jokes. Finally, as the plates were being cleared, I saw my window. I stood up quietly, slid the envelope from my coat pocket, and cleared my throat. "Hey, before the night's over, I just wanted to say congrats again." Josh raised an eyebrow. "You already said that, didn't you?" There was a hint of sarcasm in his voice, and Emily's brother snorted. I ignored it. "I had something for you guys." I set the envelope in front of them. "Just a little help on the condo, 6 months' rent fully covered." The table went silent. Emily looked shocked. Her parents exchanged glances. "Josh." He stared at the envelope, then laughed. Not a small laugh like full-on amusement. "Dude, seriously?" I blinked. "What?" He picked up the envelope and waved it mockingly. "I mean, this is great and all, but if you really wanted to make a difference, maybe throw in a year. Who knows, maybe then you'd actually make the guest list." The entire table chuckled. a few nervously. One of Emily's cousins went, "Oof." My heart dropped. I smiled, not because it was funny, but because in that moment, everything crystallized. Every favor, every dollar, every time I bailed him out and got nothing but silence in return, it all snapped into place. I wasn't family to him. I was leverage, an ATM, an accessory. So I smiled, reached across the table, and calmly took back the envelope. Josh raised an eyebrow. "What are you doing?" I leaned in slightly, placed a single sheet of paper in its place, and said, "Actually, you have 30 days to move out." He froze. "What?" I turned the page toward him so he could read the header. Notice of lease termination. Then I glanced at Emily's stunned parents and added, "I own the building." The silence at the table was deafening. Emily's face went pale. Her dad sat down his wine, his mouth slightly open. Josh stared at the paper like it was in another language. "You're evicting us?" he said quietly. I shrugged. "No hard feelings, it's just business. But hey, maybe Emily's family can take you in again, like one of their own." And with that I stood up, buttoned my jacket, and turned to leave just as Josh's voice cracked behind me. "Wait, Marcus, come on. You're not serious." I didn't look back as I walked toward the elevator. Didn't need to. I could hear the muffled voices behind me, the shocked murmurs and the sharp whisper of Emily's mum hissing something like, "You didn't tell us he owned the place." The elevator dinged open, and I stepped in with the same quiet, deliberate calm I'd always used when fixing Josh's messes. Only this time, I wasn't cleaning anything up. I was letting it collapse. The drive home was silent, just the low hum of the city rushing past my windows. I didn't even turn on the radio. My phone buzzed twice before I hit the freeway, both from Josh. The first was a missed call. The second was a text. "Dude, WTF, call me." I didn't. Instead, I pulled into my apartment garage, went upstairs, and sat in the dark for a while. No TV, no music, just silence. I stared at the ceiling, trying to make sense of how long I'd let this version of our relationship drag on. How many small moments I brushed off. How many times I'd told myself he'd grow out of it. That he was just immature, stressed, figuring things out. It's funny, people think betrayal is always loud, a big blow-up screaming, dramatic exits. But for me, it was a quiet erosion, a slow chipping away of respect. And the worst part was, I let it happen. Josh didn't try again that night, but by morning my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. 3 missed calls from him. 2 from Emily, 1 from my mum. I ignored all of them. By noon, I'd forwarded the official notice to their email, CCG, the property manager. No loopholes, no extensions. 30 days, I'd made sure of it. At 2:47 p.m, my phone buzzed again, this time with a voicemail from my mother. I listened. "Marcus, honey, what is going on? Josh called us this morning absolutely devastated. You didn't tell him you own the building. He says you blindsided him. Please call me back. This feels extreme." I rolled my eyes. Of course. Devastated, not apologetic, not grateful, just blindsided. Like I had snuck up behind him and pushed him off a cliff he'd been dancing on for years. I didn't respond. The next 2 days were more the same. Josh tried alternating between pleading and raging. One message would say, "You made your point, man. Can we just talk?" And the next would read, "You're such a bitter little loser. This is why Dad never respected you." That one made me laugh. Then came Emily. She wasn't hostile, just confused. I know he can be dumb, but he didn't mean it. He was just trying to make a joke in front of his family. "He really does appreciate you, Marcus. We both do." I stared at that message for a while. I almost believed her. Almost. But then I remembered how she smirked when Josh made the "maybe you'll make the guest list" comment. How she didn't say anything. How she only reached out after the rent was gone. Nope. That Sunday, I went to the building not to confront them, just to make sure things were in order. The unit was quiet, blinds drawn, no signs of packing. I knocked once just out of courtesy. No answer. As I turned to leave, the door opened behind me. Josh stood there in sweatpants, eyes bloodshot, hair a mess. "Seriously," he muttered, "you're going to throw us out over a joke." I looked at him, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel anything. No guilt, no second guessing, just a weird, peaceful detachment. It wasn't a joke, I said calmly. It was a mirror. He frowned. What does that even mean? It means, I said, that what you said at dinner, that wasn't some offhand comment. That was the truth you say when you think you don't need me anymore. And you were right about one thing. I don't belong on your guest list because I'm not your brother anymore. I'm just the guy you use when things get hard. Josh shook his head. You're overreacting, I smiled. And you're underreacting to the fact that you just burned the last bridge that ever carried you. He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue, but nothing came out. Instead, he just leaned against the door frame, defeated. I'll have my stuff out in 2 weeks, he mumbled. You've got 4, I reminded him. Use them wisely. And I left, but that wasn't the end. A week later, I got a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Uncle Ray, my dad's younger brother, the one relative who never picked sides when our family started splintering after Dad passed. He wasn't close to Josh or me, but he always watched from the sidelines. His message just said, saw what happened, got something you might want to know. Call me when you can. That was the moment I realised this might be bigger than just rent and disrespect. This might go deeper. I stared at Uncle Ray's message for a full minute before calling. Ry wasn't the type to reach out unless it really mattered. The last time we spoke was at Dad's funeral 5 years ago, and even then it was more nods and handshakes than conversation. But something about his timing and the way he phrased it sent a chill down my spine. He picked up on the second ring. Marcus, he said, like he'd been expecting my call all day. Hey, Uncle Ray, I got your message. Good. Listen, what happened with Josh? I don't want to get in the middle of your business, but I've been holding on to something for a while now. I didn't think it was my place, but after hearing what he pulled at that dinner, I leaned forward, elbows on my desk. What is it? Ray let out a long breath. It's about your dad's trust, the one he set up before he passed. My stomach tightened. What about it? I asked. Ray paused. You always believed it was split evenly, right? That you and Josh each got half. I blinked. That's what the lawyer told us. Josh was 24 at the time. I was 29. It made sense. Ray's side, that's not exactly what your dad wanted. I was there when he drafted the first version. The original plan was to leave everything to you. All of it. He said, and I quote, Josh needs to learn how to build. Marcus already does, but after your mum intervened, they amended it to an even split. That didn't surprise me. Mum always coddled Josh, but I still didn't understand the point of this conversation. Okay, I said slowly, but we did split it evenly. I used mine to start my business. Josh blew his app idea, and that ridiculous motorcycle. End of story, Ray chuckled grimly. Not quite. 2 months after your dad's funeral, Josh came to me, said he needed help moving some money around. He claimed you'd already taken your half, and he just wanted to pull his out quietly without lawyers being nosy. I didn't touch it, but I did tell him something. What? I asked. I told him there was a third account. I froze. What? Ray's voice was calm. Your dad was a cautious man. He didn't trust Josh's judgment, even with the split. So he set aside a separate investment account. Stocks, bonds, a few long-term holdings. He called it Marcus's anchor. Said you were the kind of man who'd never ask for help. So he'd leave help where you wouldn't think to look. Told me about it over drinks one night. Said not even your mum knew. I stood up slowly from my desk, heart pounding. So what are you saying? There's money in my name that I don't even know about. Ray hesitated. I'm saying Josh found it. My blood ran cold. He drained it, didn't he? I whispered. Ry didn't answer at first. Then he said, I don't have hard proof, but I know he started driving a new car not long after. Got real quiet when I asked about his finances. Your dad's old broker retired, but I can put you in touch with the firm that absorbed his files. They'll know. I leaned on the desk, breath shallow. And you didn't say anything before now. I thought it was family business, he said. I told myself it wasn't my place, but hearing about what he said to you at that dinner, I realised I've been protecting someone who stopped deserving it a long time ago. I didn't even thank him. I just said, "Send me the contact." I barely slept that night. The next morning, I was on the phone with the financial firm Ray mentioned. After a few rounds of security checks, I finally got a woman named Barbara on the line. Mid-50s, polite, careful. "Yes, Mr. Wyatt," she said. "Your name is listed on an account originally established by Gregory Wyatt in 2008. However, it was closed in 2021. My throat tightened. Closed? By who? There was a pause on her end. I'm afraid I can't give you that information directly over the phone, but I can send the closure documents to the address we have on file. That would be, she read out Josh's condo address. I nearly crushed the phone in my hand. "Thank you," I said through gritted teeth. "Actually, update the mailing address to my primary residence. I'll verify it now." By the time the documents arrived, 2 days later, I'd already started pulling every thread I could find. Phone locks, emails, my father's old notebooks. I even went back to the lawyer who handled the estate, requesting a full breakdown of every asset ever dispersed. Most of it checked out, but the timeline of the anchor account, something was off. The documents confirmed it. Josh had posed as me. He'd forged the signature, used an ID he must have faked or borrowed, and quietly siphoned the funds over the course of 2 months. Nearly $190,000. Gone. I stared at the number for what felt like hours. Not because I needed the money. I was doing fine. It was the principle, the weight of it. My father had trusted me, believed in me enough to build a quiet parachute I never asked for. And Josh had cut it loose mid-flight. My phone buzzed again that evening. This time it was Emily. "Please don't do this to him. He's not perfect, but he's trying. This eviction is destroying him." I typed back, "He destroyed something first." No response. For a few days I waited. Then I made my next move. I didn't yell, I didn't call, I didn't even warn him. But by the end of the week he'd wake up to a very different kind of letter. One that starts with, "Dear Mr. Wyatt," and ends with formal charges of financial fraud. I didn't sleep. The night before the letter hit Josh's mailbox. Not because I was nervous, no. I had already crossed that line. I'd wrestled with guilt, with second-guessing, with the heavy ache of betrayal. But by now, those feelings had hardened into something else, something sharper. This wasn't vengeance for the sake of vengeance. This was justice. My father trusted me with that anchor fund. Josh buried it in his pocket like a piece of stolen silver, and I wasn't going to let that stand. So, when the certified letter was delivered courtesy of a fraud investigator I hired privately before anything went to court, I sat back and waited. I didn't call, I didn't text, I didn't check social media, I just waited. It took 20 hours. At 11:02 the next morning, Josh showed up at my office. I could see him from the security camera feed at the front desk. Hair wild, hoodie pulled up, a mess of nerves barely disguised by forced bravado. My assistant buzzed me. "There's a man named Josh Wyatt downstairs. Says he's your brother." "Tell him I'm in a meeting," I said without hesitation. Should I give him a copy of the document in the red folder marked fraud disclosure? I had prepared it days earlier. I had a feeling he'd come in person. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Then I got a text. "Josh, you're actually going to ruin my life over this? We're family." Then another. "Josh, come on, man. You don't need the money." Followed by Josh. "Fine. If this is how you want to play it, I'll burn with you." I muted his number. Later that evening, I got a call from Emily. I didn't pick up, but she left a voicemail. "Marcus, look, I didn't know about the money. I swear. I thought you'd given it to him. He told me his dad left him something directly, and that you didn't need it. I didn't question it. I should have, but I didn't. And now everything's falling apart. He's losing it, Marcus. He can't sleep. He hasn't been to work. He thinks you're going to send him to jail." "Are you?" "Yes, but I didn't say that." I didn't respond. Instead, I let the investigator do his job, and he did it well. By the end of the week, Josh was served with an official complaint detailing the full extent of the financial fraud, forging my identity, misrepresenting himself to a financial institution, and illegally transferring funds from a trust account. The total damage, $188,200 $294.37, not including interest. The investigator even managed to trace the transactions. 2 luxury vacations, a lease on a Tesla, the failed startup he'd been pretending to bootstrap. He hadn't just used the money, he wasted it. The legal process wasn't fast. It took months to get the court date. During that time, I didn't speak to Josh, not once. Our mother tried calling me, of course. First a guilt trip, then a to beg. "You can't be serious," she said, in one voicemail. "He's your brother. He's your blood." And in another, "You know how hard life's been on him, Marcus. You always had it easier. Let it go. Easier. That was rich. I paid my way through college while Josh got help at every step. I stayed behind to take care of Dad when his cancer got bad. I ran the errands, I made the appointments, and when Dad passed, I handled the funeral, while Josh flew in late and left early. But sure, easier." My favourite call, though, came 2 weeks before the court date from Josh. He didn't yell this time. He didn't threaten. He just pleaded. "Marcus," he said, "please don't do this." I messed up. I know I did, but I'm not a criminal. I thought I could fix it before anyone noticed. I thought you wouldn't care. You've got your life together. You always have. I was drowning and you had a life raft you didn't even know about. I panicked. He paused. "I'm sorry." It was the first time he'd said it, and it should have meant something, but it was too late. The day of the hearing, I walked into the courthouse, wearing a charcoal suit and steady nerves. Josh looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Emily sat behind him, her face pale, eyes rimmed red. The judge asked a few questions. Josh's lawyer tried to paint it as a family misunderstanding. I handed over the forged signature samples, the withdrawal logs, and the certified testimony from the financial advisor. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was methodical theft. Josh was given a choice: repay the funds in full with interest over a court-supervised repayment plan spanning the next 7 years, or face a felony charge and likely jail time. He chose the repayment plan barely. Afterward, outside the courtroom, he approached me. He looked hollow, ashamed. A piece of him finally understood the weight of what he'd done. I meant what I said. He told me about being sorry. I nodded. "That's good. You should be. You really want me to pay all of it back?" "Yes, I'll lose everything." "Then maybe next time," I said quietly, "you won't treat people like they're disposable." He opened his mouth again, but no words came out. He just stood there, shoulders slumped, watching me walk away. I never heard from him again. As for the money, I didn't even need it. Once the first repayment check cleared, I redirected the funds to a scholarship program in our dad's name. One specifically aimed at kids with entrepreneurial dreams and no family support. Every dollar Josh returned went as someone who wouldn't squander it. That felt right. And the condo, I sold it. Not out of spite, just closure. Emily moved out shortly after the hearing. Last I heard, she left Josh for good. Can't say I blame her. My mum still sends holiday cards. I don't reply. She made her choices too. Uncle Ray and I talk more now. We even grab coffee once a month. Turns out he had more stories about Dad than I ever knew. As for me, I'm good. Really good. Not because I won, but because I stopped letting people take pieces of me without permission. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for family is stop letting them treat you like you owe them forever.